Western VAs run damage control but get exposed by Genshin fans by Hirohei. Let's see what's even going on.
So you might have seen the video I made yesterday regarding English Western voice actors, a part of the SAG-AFTRA union, and how they were...
So to summarize, what happened is... English VAs are striking. So one situation happened where somebody from Japan took over the role for a character in Genshin Impact and then was harassed by English VAs to how he could do that and why he took over that role, and like it's bad. It's bad. It's in fact so bad right now that as it currently stands my voice is gone. As it currently stands, if Hoyo actually signs that one contract with SAG-AFTRA, what's gonna happen is that pretty much voice actors have like a 90-day limit to how much they can work on a project. Either then they leave the project or they join the union. That's how bad it currently is, as far as I understood. It's pretty much for join or leave.
Were essentially harassing a Tokyo-based voice actor named Jacob Takanashi because he took over the role of Kinnick, or Kinnich in Genshin Impact. I always forget how to say his name. Now, according to the previous voice actor, that being John Padnoid, to my understanding of his own statement, it sounds like he essentially refused to voice Kinnich for a period of around 6 months, to which we can then presume Hoyoverse was like, okay, time to replace this guy, and they brought on Jacob Takanashi. As mentioned, we then saw a ton of English voice actors over on Twitter band together and harass Jacob.
Yeah, we got a couple of those. So yeah, this is the voice actor for Paimon. This was the voice actor for... I forgot her name. It's the one girl from Mondstadt with the green hair, who's like an alchemist or stuff. And this one I do not know who it was. Ah, Kiching.
Takanashi, saying a bunch of terrible things to the guy, essentially getting mad because they're saying he's hurting their strike, their SAG-AFTRA strike against certain video gaming companies, to which the voice actors that harassed Jacob Takanashi then received.
And you have to consider, Jacob has nothing to do with the strike, right? Nothing. He's the JP-based voice actor. He does not even know what's going on. And it does not affect him.
Tremendous backlash from the overall Genshin community. Those were just a few quick examples, of course, but over the last 2 days or so, the front page of our Genshin Impact has been filled with top posts where people are condemning the behavior of these English voice actors. The 2 biggest points of contention right now are 1, the harassment of Jacob Takanashi, of course, but 2, it seems like most people don't like the framing that the English voice actors have been attempting to use for their strike, that specifically being, oh, we just want protections from AI. Because when you actually look into the situation, it seems like there's quite a bit more to it than that. For example, how their terms may likely negatively impact non-union voice actors. Many people saying that it's basically like SAG-AFTRA is trying to monopolize the industry. Some of SAG-AFTRA's voice actors have attempted to refute this, which they haven't had success with, it seems.
Yeah, they just... I think that the major goal is to get all the non-union voice actors to join the union. I think that's just the main reason.
Being like, oh, we really care about the non-union VAs too, trust me, bro. Which obviously people are very skeptical of, as the actions of SAG-AFTRA paint a completely different picture. For example, Executive Director Crabtree Ireland of SAG-AFTRA calling non-union actors a lesser quality. SAG-AFTRA's own website referring to FI Corps members as scabs.
Scabs, yeah. Like they literally have... what's the word? How do you put this? They literally have a slur for non-union actors. It is a scab. Also, lesser quality. It's like, I spit on you. You are a non-union actor. They have voice acting racism. Isn't that crazy?
Scabs. And of course, once again, the harassment of Jacob Takanashi. And so many people have come to the conclusion that these Western voice actors are being manipulative and or deceitful, etc., etc. This is only amplified further because of the public nature of this whole thing, where we've seen numerous voice actors and even executives from the union attempting to get the public to support their cause without question. But since so many people are now finding the union to be deceitful, manipulative, to be gaslighting them more or less, we're seeing the members and its supporters become increasingly desperate, to which that'll be the focus for this video. What's going on now really looks like attempts at damage control. Of course, everything I discussed so far has been a really quick TLDR of the situation. If you want more details, please check out the video I made yesterday, as that was basically a 20-minute long video. In other words, significantly more context there than what I just
And you can VA D-Luke, okay. Wasn't there some weird drama going on with D-Luke's voice actor? I don't know exactly what happened, but there was some weird drama.
Briefly explained in this one. Now, we will be taking a look at some voice actors' attempts at damage control and how they're backfiring. They're really not going well. But first, we're actually going to take a look at a gaming journalist attempt at damage control here, because you gotta see how absurd this is. This is how disingenuous.
Yeah, speaking of gaming journalists, there is this new simulation game releasing, right? I think, was it? It's like The Sims. I don't know, is it Insoy? Something like that, right? And they have no gay relationships in that game, right? They have none. So PC Gamer put out a piece saying the game is eerily heterosexual, and I'm like, you can drop that, but if you would drop eerily homosexual, people would crash out. And I'm like, huh? If one is not okay, the Inzoy, okay. Then one would not be okay as well. Like, what is this?
These people are. So thank you, Ray, for the tag.
I'm still saying, gaming journalists are the bottom of the bottom. I don't know why you're still here. There are plenty of YouTubers that do it better.
Says here, hey, have you seen this article that is posting straight up lies about the strike? First, it claims the whole thing is just to protect the VAs, and it also claims John was voice acting Kinich for 5 years. Okay, for those not familiar with Genshin and or
5 years? Something doesn't add up. I've never seen this character before. Five years, that can't be.
Kinich, let me explain why this is just, as mentioned, absurd. First of all, Genshin Impact itself is not even 5 years old yet.
Bro was voice acting a character before that character was made.
Will be 5 years in September, but Kinich himself only just came out in September of 2024.
Yeah, that's so odd. What do you mean? Huh? Yeah, caught in 4K, straight up lying.
This character is not even a year old. And this journalist is trying to say that this guy was voicing Kinich for 5 years somehow. In this PC Gamer article from Harvey Randall, titled Diabolical, Genshin Impact's English cast gives Nuvio the cold shoulder after he frames replacing a striking actor as an opportunity to carry the flame. And then including this quote from Paimon's VA Corinne Boetker, this wasn't a passing of the torch. He writes, the Genshin Impact community is a little, on fire at the moment. That's due to SAG-AFTRA, an American union of actors across entertainment media, and its ongoing strike. Said strike has been proceeding apace for over 8 months now, with voice actors still embroiled in fights over deals for protection against AI exploitation. Being a game with voice actors in it, Genshin Impact has been, well, impacted. The good news for Genshin Impact players who don't care about such protections, and MiHoYo mind, is that one of the game's characters, Kinich, will have voice acting again. The bad news for
I'm gonna say it again, the only thing you're really doing with the strike is you're going to push Hoyo even faster into using AI. That's the only thing you're actually going to achieve. Or they just straight up say, you know what? Fuck, do it like Snowbreak. Fuck the English EVAs. We're gonna fire them all. We're gonna keep the game strictly, I think, Japanese, Korean, and Chinese. Done. Because they're actually doing the job. Are there any nice VAs left in this union? I would not assume so. Maybe there are, maybe. I don't think everyone who joins that union is bad.
Everyone else is that a Japanese-based voice actor has swept in and accepted the role without acknowledging the ongoing strike. And so first of all, this is extremely disingenuous framing. Many people do understand why VAs would be worried about AI exploitation, but as I mentioned earlier, many people also understand that things are more complicated than that, and the framing from many people in the union has been seen as manipulative, to say the least. Kinda ironic actually how we can see similar manipulations from this very journalist. But let's take a look at where this journalist was apparently claiming that John Patnois was voicing Kinich for 5 years somehow. We can see the journalist reposting Takanashi's statement accepting the role. And then the journalist writes, to be blunt, Takanashi has written this as though John Patton-Ward, who has been voicing the character for half a decade. Yeah, please.
There's no way you can read this, then Google how old the character actually is, and then say, yo, he voiced that for half a decade. This is so disingenuous, it's crazy. This is pissing me off.
Explain how that works. Were these people just making stuff up now, trying to, like, make it sound, like, way worse? Oh yeah, he's been voicing the character for half a decade.
Source, I made it the fuck up.
Okay, guys. Anyways, says, Takanashi has written this as though John Patton-Ward has been voicing the character for half a decade, stepped down from the role due to illness or a tragic incident or something, which seems ignorant to the reality of the situation. Oh, that's ironic. Patton-Ward was on strike. So yeah, that's pretty absurd. But it actually gets even more amusing. We can see Valeria Rodriguez, the VA for Sucrose in Genshin Impact, actually retweeting that PC Gamer article that we just read, saying, lost 400 followers for a couple of thumbs downs and calling out entitlement in a fanbase. Oh well, it is what it is. I appreciate everyone who's thought critically and supports what's going on and has integrity. This article actually put it really eloquently. The immense
I remember her getting her ass handed to herself for Genshin Impact. I think I still remember that. I could be wrong, but I think that happened. The most vocal people, their faces doesn't do the union justice, though. Yeah, it doesn't.
irony of talking about critical thinking and that article having integrity when it's just got overtly false information in it. On top of Valeria Rodriguez reposting that article, Corinne Boetker, the VA for Paimon, is also retweeting that post from Valeria Rodriguez. So yeah, let me know what you think about all of that in the comments. That takes us to this post from our Genshin Impact from only 5 hours ago titled, I'm a voice actor you may have heard in Genshin Impact. Here's some info on the strike situation, saying, hi there, I'm Kit Harrison, a voice actor based in the UK who has worked on several games over my career. Now before we go any further with Kit's post, let's get an idea of where his bias may lie. Hopping over to his Blue Sky account, we can see that he claims to be a voice actor.
Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. He has a whole, he's one of those bios. He has one of those bios. I'm not gonna say much.
Rep by CESD talent, heard in Genshin Impact, Smite, and Baldur's Gate 3. Taking a look at his posts, we can see 6 hours ago he's talking about the post that he made over on our Genshin Impact. But right below that is one where he's reposting a post from Little Karibo. And in that post, it looks like we can see more disparaging remarks being made towards Jacob Takanashi. Little Karibo posting a screenshot from another voice actor, Nathan Noakes. Nathan Noakes being someone that people have actually recently praised for defending Jacob Takanashi. We can see the post from Nathan reading, right, I spoke to the new VA, that being Jacob Takanashi, who lives and works in Japan, and he didn't even know what was going on. He came into an onslaught of criticism and didn't know anything about the strike or SAG since SAG isn't in Japan. Blows my mind. Little Karibo saying, I find it extremely hard to believe that a VA from Houston, Texas, who is so engaged with indie VO, auditioning for projects being cast in America, and is following several striking voice actors who have been super vocal about the strike, did not know about the strike. Do elaborate, Jacob. The implication.
My guy, my girl, my whatever you are, I have to ask you, do you believe that the United States of America are the middle of the, like, the center of the planet? Yes, he may have not known that. Could you consider that? Wow.
Implications from Little Karibo seem to be that Jacob Takanashi is lying. To which Kit Harrison responds to that stuff saying, here's a tip, try to follow lies through. Let's say we believe that he wasn't aware there was a strike. While I have no idea how you wouldn't be, he absolutely is now. So why hasn't he stepped down? It's because he's okay working in this role. Didn't need to bother with that excuse then.
Yes, maybe he does not care. He doesn't have to care about everything. He's doing his job. He's getting paid. You don't know the guy's situation. Maybe he needs the job because he has a sick mom, a sick dad, a sick sibling. Maybe he has to put food on the table. You don't know the guy's situation. Well, we are the reality TV of the world. Apparently you guys are. Like, what is that? What if he does not care? What are you going to do if he does not care? Gonna make it like tap 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 on your phone and complain on MAP Sky? Because yes, that platform is full of MAPs. If you did not know that, now you do.
So we can then reasonably conclude that the recent post Kit Harrison made over on our Genshin Impact is likely to have bias towards SAG-AFTRA and against Jacob Takanashi. However, it looks like his damage control post isn't really working either, as we can see a top comment responding to the post reading, "If the main point is just AI protections, why isn't that just the main point for the project, and why does the project have to become union to be unstruck if it quote-unquote doesn't matter in the first place? If the project actively decides to only work with agencies that offer in their contracts protections from AI, should this not be enough to alleviate the strike based on what they're striking for? If Hoyoverse as a non-union project already moves to studios like Sound Cadence, which guarantees their actors protection from AI usage, what more is there to strike against for Hoyoverse aside from being a non-union project? If the bargain is still, yes, you did everything to support our anti-AI clause, but you're still non-union, thus still struck, this feels counterintuitive, and more of a push just for the project to flip union rather than anti.
Because the goal is not the goal isn't being like working that you will not be like against being replaced by AI. The goal is to have this union, and everybody who does not join that union be excluded from actually working on projects. That's all it really is. I do not believe that these people genuinely sit there. Maybe the voice actors, right? They think like they're fighting the good fight, right? They're fighting for a good cause. But I can 100% guarantee you that the higher ups, the ones that run this union, do not care about AI. They do not.
AI as the actual focus. I would rather not take the word of SAG will just make a deal and everything will be peachy keen with the non-FICOR signing union VAs. When once flipped union, the non-union VAs are in lesser power rather than equal power. As for the negative stigma of FICOR and non-union VAs, you can blame SAG-AFTRA's own page for FICOR, tell them to fix it if they don't want misinformation to spread. I believe some SAG speaker was also called out for calling non-unions of lesser quality. Indeed, referencing the FICOR stuff we discussed earlier, as well as disparaging remarks from Duncan Crabtree Ireland, who of course is not just a SAG.
Once again, I'm gonna read that stuff for you, as usual.
Of lesser quality. Indeed, referencing the FICOR stuff.
Financial core. Financial core refers to a legal carve-out that permits workers opposed to participating in a labor union to be employed under the benefits of a union's contracts without compelling them to be a member of that union.
We discussed earlier, as well.
Financial core, FICOR, FPNM are viewed as scabs or anti-union by SAG-AFTRA members, directors, and writers, most of whom also belong to entertainment unions. There you have it. They literally state here that you pretty much are a lesser being if you are not part of a union.
Also disparaging remarks from Duncan Crabtree Ireland, who of course is not just a SAG speaker, but the National Executive Director and Chief Negotiator of SAG-AFTRA. Another top comment reads, "Thanks for sharing. However, this only solidifies my distrust and dislike of SAG-AFTRA. I do hope you and your fellow voice actors get the protections you deserve. But seriously, not at the expense of others over just trust the process." This is similar to what we discussed way earlier in the video, with how another voice actor was basically trying to defend SAG-AFTRA, saying like, "Oh, don't worry about the non-union actors, guys. SAG-AFTRA definitely won't screw them over, wink wink." A response they get reads, "Agreed. It's crazy how the SAG jerks think they can get away with this just by twisting everything to Hoyo doesn't want to sign because of the AI protections, when it's not even the point of contention. They're trying to screw over non-union members while gatekeeping projects to only their SAG cult members. Absolutely sickening." And another response reading, "Gaslighting doesn't work anymore if someone did their own research." In the next top comment that we're going to read, Kit actually responds and gets minus 106 downvotes. This user quotes a section of Kit's post that reads, "If Hoyo Games flip union, they will have to remove all non-union English VAs or force them to join SAG, right? This is a commonly cited worry, but it's not true." And this section saying, "Don't you have only 3 tapped Hartleys and then you have to join SAG? You can get things waived, extended pay fees over a longer period of time, or any number of compromises." With the user responding to those sections from Kit's post, saying, "So, which is it? If there's no requirement to join, then I wouldn't see the need to have any compromises at all. As you've worded things, it sounds like it is a requirement, but it simply isn't enforced consistently, much like your Global Rule 1, which is most of the entire reason that this entire mess exists. Kit responds, saying, "For clarity, I mean, that is not true that non-union talent would be kicked off the game. Everyone who is non-union currently on any game that flips union would become..."
I mean, yeah, here like this is pretty much confirmed, right? If Hoyo games flip union, they have to remove them, right? But this is wrong, they say. But here they have like 3 tafts, like a limit, which is like it's like 90 days, right? It's like 90 days. But here it says they are forced off. But here it says they have a 90-day limit. It can't be one or the other.
SAG eligible, as I mentioned in the post, and then the process of them joining the union is flexible, as I explained.
Like, these cancel each other out.
And in some territories, they don't even need to worry about it. As I mentioned in the main body of the post, unions are run for and by humans, and so they are understanding with people's needs and requirements. There is no danger to non-union performers who are currently working on the games of losing anything. They only stand to gain stronger protections and security on a project. Hope this helps. Once again, you get...
At the end of the day, a union is also just there to make money. At the end of the day, it's also just money. That's all. It's about money. That's all it is.
Gets minus 106 downvotes, and this top response to him reads, "No, you're misrepresenting the situation. If Hoyo signs a contract with SAG, third-party VAs become dependent on SAG's decision. In other words, SAG gains control over them, one way or another. They are required to either join SAG or go through a Taft-Hartley process. It doesn't matter how much easier it might be to join SAG or what guarantees are offered to VAs already working on the project. They cannot just continue working while ignoring the existence of SAG. They will have to interact with them, and that is one of the main problems." Okay, so a few minutes ago we read this post where people were criticizing the SAG-AFTRA members for trying to frame this whole thing as just AI protections, saying that's not even the point of contention, and on a separate post we can see similar criticisms here. In this exchange, where a user says, "Did Koi Dao also go silent when people asked this?" referring to a thread where Koi Dao was attempting to defend SAG-AFTRA. They'd get a response that reads, "Yeah, seems like all of the VAs advocating for the union suddenly go radio silent the second someone asks about the finer details. Scummy AF. And I wouldn't be surprised..."
I have only seen like one of the union at least being somewhat friendly that was speaking out, that it was speaking about it, or like the guy that protected Jacob. I feel like that's the only one. Everyone else who has been speaking about the situation is kind of a person that sucks.
Surprised if they're doing it because the union's pressuring them. They're trying hard to make it just about AI, but it's not working anymore. They expected Genshin players to not beat the allegations, but we did, in fact, read the stuff. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a rule in the union that you cannot speak ill of the union, and must support it like a mindless drone at this point. More likely an unspoken rule, speaking bad about the union
Don't speak ill of our overlords.
Would ostracize you, and maybe even get you kicked out of it. Seeing the comments from other VAs talking about how everyone wants to join the union eventually, and even from people who...
You mean want isn't exactly the word I would use here. It's not really want, you know? It's more so I have no other choice.
The union itself considers scabs is pretty hard proof of that. They also clam up or have an excuse as to why non-union people would be fine if Genshin became a union project. Yeah, right, This is what the union wants the non-union VAs to think. Okay, let's pause. I know we went over a lot of stuff, but let's keep in mind the focus of this video is once again on the damage control attempts and how they're not working. And that takes us over to one more post on our Genshin Impact titled, "I spoke to some VAs to get clarification," long, in which one of the voice actors this person talked to was Louis Bermudez. You might recall the name because in my video yesterday, we saw that person disparaging Jacob Takanashi. In other words, yet another extremely biased source. His tweet responding to Jacob Takanashi reads, "My hope is you were misled and weren't fully aware that John was withholding his work to fight for a better future for actors everywhere. If that's the case, you have the opportunity to do the funniest thing right now, but if not, and you can..."
I'm gonna straight up say it. If you get replaced as a voice actor, if you get replaced in any job, You are essentially fired. There is no withholding here anymore. You are fired. It's over, bro.
Continue in this role? Yikes, man. And we can see that the Reddit users responding here on our Genshin Impact do catch that, saying, Louis Bermudez, really? Wasn't he on the bandwagon to ask the new VA to quit? There is some bias here, no? And once more dancing around the questions. That should be a simple yes/no. Yes, he was. He was also unprofessional, Jacob Takanashi. He's definitely part of the reason some of these are bias/non-answers. Another response saying, please note that Bermudez referred to the new VA as stealing food off someone else's plate and defended the hate he was getting. And both VAs are pushing for the interim agreement, referring to both VAs in the OP, where the OP had asked them questions about this whole SAG thing. It's in their best interest to provide as obtuse or pro-interim agreement responses as possible, even if they may not be true. Please find out yourself by reading the relevant stipulations. They are the only source of hard truth. Says stealing food off someone else's plate. Wasn't even allowed to work on that project in the first place. You can't make this stuff up.
True. It's also like, these guys are supposed to be professionals, right? They're supposed to be professionals. You would never see, like, really popular people make posts like that. Like, rarely you see somebody crash out like that. It's just because they're small VAs that nothing happens.
That's referring to, I believe, SAG's Global One Rule, which is one of the final things we'll go over in this video real quick. Because as you've seen, a recurring theme that people take issue with regarding these VAs is their hypocrisy, their double standards, etc., etc. And SAG-AFTRA's Global One Rule states, no member shall render any services or make an agreement to perform services for any employer who has not executed a basic minimum agreement with the union. And as we can see briefly summarized in this response, quoting a section from the OP where one of the VAs had apparently said, it's Global Rule 1, but yes, actors working quote-unquote off the card on VO have been a thing for a long time for many complex reasons. The user saying, so they're lying to sign their contract, which is contract fraud. That's all you really need to know. To further clarify this,
Ooh, could you then get them, drag them before court? I'm just questioning.
it sounds like what's been going on is that SAG-AFTRA members who are voice actors should never have been working on Genshin Impact to begin with, according to their own Global Rule 1.
Interesting. So their own Global Rule 1 makes it so that they are not allowed to work on Genshin Impact, yet they still do. Rules for thee, but not for me?
However, they wanted their cake and they wanted to eat it too. And of course, this looking much worse with all that's been going on recently. And for one last piece of clarification, the stealing food off someone else's plate quote comes from this different tweet from Louis Bermudez than the one we took a look at earlier, where he had said, people have to keep food on the table, but you have to draw the line somewhere. Stealing food off of someone else's plate is probably where I'd draw that line. Anyways, there's actually a few more things I wanted to go through in this video, but
this is like, just, I don't know how to exactly put it. It's just like, really, they're pushing for a reason to boycott, quote-unquote, boycott Genshin Impact, or Hoyoverse, but it's not the actual reason. That's my main problem right now.
Actually out of time. I gotta get out the door here in like 30 minutes, and I still gotta get this video uploaded. So I'm gonna cut it a little bit short and end it there. But as always, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed my coverage. Please do consider letting me know what you think about all the stuff in the comments. And if you did enjoy the coverage, please also consider liking and or subscribing to the channel. Appreciate ya.
That's the end of the video. As we can tell, this union is actually evil. I found it funny that it was said that this union is by the people for the people. Yet I find it quite ironic that the people are not protecting. People are not part of the people. It is very interesting. I don't see how this is beneficial for VAs that are not in the union. And they should up say it.